Hey guys, I am back. This really is breaking news. Harry has pretty much insulted his family, especially his father and his upbringing yet again, and he just can't really seem to hold back on his thoughts and feelings about his past. Harry is, in fact, stuck in the past. And he is very resentful and evidently jealous of his brother's future. So he has gone in with a low blow and compared his royal life, his former royal life, which he still enjoys the benefits from because, to my knowledge, he has not given up his title. And he's compared it basically to the Truman Show and like being in a zoo, which is extremely insensitive to William and Kate, because we know, of course, they are raising their children in the royal fold and they have no intentions of stepping down anytime soon. So I'm just flabbergasted and quite astonished by the fact that with all of these multi-million-pound deals that they're signing and all of this money that is flowing into their hands and into their bank accounts due to the royal firm, that Harry would be so vicious and vile in his criticism with no regard for the fact that William and Kate are putting their best foot forward to keep everything ticking over. And Charles had a really rough time, ending up being a single father to these children. And of course, he wasn't a single father in the sense of what we would describe a regular person. He had nannies, he had maids, he had the support of the royal fold, and of course, millions and millions and billions of pounds to raise these two boys in the best way that he could. Harry has had an extremely privileged life, and he is an example of privilege gone wrong and indulgence. I think that there was a lot of overcompensation in Harry's childhood for the loss of his mother, and it's resulted in this vile, what can I really say? It's like a verbal vomit, basically. That's what I can really describe it as. So this article is by The Mirror, and I'm not sure if they go into word for word exactly what unhappy, hapless Harry said, but I have read it and it is quite disgusting because it's unnecessary. Charles has just lost his father, Harry's grandfather, and he's still continuing on this hateful tirade. He doesn't really ever take a day off, and that's the truth. Harry and Meghan never really take a day off from their hate campaign, and it seems as though when Kate and William do something really nice and positive, as in they're setting up this new YouTube channel, they're trying to get that off the ground, Harry just has to throw some low down blows and tacky shots, and he's viciously jealous. So let me get into this article. Prince Harry talks of his genetic pain and says that Charles passed on suffering. Harry, who is expecting a daughter with wife Meghan and is already father to son Archie, aged 2, compared his life to a mixture between The Truman Show and being in a zoo. Prince Harry said he wants to break the cycle of the pain and suffering of his upbringing with his own children. Harry, who is expecting a daughter with wife Meghan, is already father to son Archie. In an apparent criticism of his own father and even the Queen indirectly, Harry said he had endured some form of pain or suffering because of his own dad's experiences growing up. The latest comments from Harry come after he gave a bombshell interview with Oprah that caused a sensation at the palace. In the interview, Harry alighted on his troubled relationship with Charles and said his father and brother William were trapped in the firm. He also said he feels really let down by his father, who stopped taking his calls, unsurprisingly, after the Sussexes left the UK for Canada, and that the family had to cut him off financially, which they haven't fully cut him off financially. I mean, anything that Harry really does earn is directly in relation to his royal connection and to his royal blood. They can never really cut him off. So it continues on here. In the wake of the Oprah interview, Harry briefly returned to the UK for the funeral of his granddad. Sources told the Mirror's royal editor Russell Myers at the time that Harry wrote his father a deeply personal note before the funeral in a bid to ease tensions, and Charles was hoping to see his son after the service, but the Duke of Sussex told him he wasn't sticking around. Speaking on the podcast Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard, he said, "There is no blame. I don't think we should be pointing the finger or blaming anyone, but certainly when it comes to parenting, if I've experienced some form of pain or suffering because of the pain or suffering that perhaps my father or my parents had suffered, I'm going to make sure I break that cycle so that I don't pass it on, basically. It's a lot of genetic pain and suffering that gets passed on anyway, so we as parents should be doing the most we can do to try and say, you know what happened to me, or that happened to me, I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen to you." He added, "It's hard to do, but for me, it comes down to awareness. I never saw it. I never knew about it. And then suddenly I started to piece it together and go, okay, so this is where he went to school. This is what happened. I know this about his life. I also know that it is connected to his parents. So that means he's treated me the way he was treated. So how can I change that for my own kids?" So there you go. Harry does really need some help. He also admitted to having therapy, I think. And he did express that Meghan was a strong advocate in him, obviously trashing his family, cutting them off and getting therapy, but not the kind of therapy that Harry needs. Harry needs another version of therapy, some intense, rational, forward-thinking therapy. I don't know, but he just needs better therapy than what he's had because he is having it right now. All of these podcasts and interviews that he's doing are essentially some kind of venting for him, and he's using them in a weaponized way in order to drag his family continuously and to get attention, which is evidence of someone who is crying out for some kind of help. So, with all that being said, I'm going to finish. So Harry continued on to say, "And here I am. I moved my whole family to the United States. That wasn't the plan, but sometimes you've got to make decisions and put your family first and put your mental health first," which he, of course, hasn't. I think this has done more damage to his mental health because he's now out of source talking to strangers about his life in the royal household, which he really shouldn't be. He should just be moving forward, doing his selfless charity work, being of service as he claims he wants to. He compared living under scrutiny as a member of the royal family to the 1998 film The Truman Show, starring Jim Carrey as a man oblivious to the fact that his entire life is a TV show and to being an animal in a zoo. He also revealed that he met up with his future wife in a London supermarket in the early days of their relationship and that the couple pretended not to know each other. Having stepped down from royal duties in January 2020 with wife Meghan and their son Archie, they didn't, of course, run the entirety of what he said, and there was actually a lot more said. So he also said that he wanted to leave the royal family as early as his 20s, saying the impact of the life of his late mother really did knock his psyche, and it really did influence his feelings of not wanting to be a part of it, which I think we kind of already knew. So another thing he went on to say was, "It's a job, right? Grin and bear it, get on with it," Harry said in a response. He added, "In my early 20s, it was a case of, I don't want this job. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this. Look what it did to my mum. How am I ever going to settle down, have a wife and a family when I know that it's going to happen again?" He recalled thinking. "Because I know, I've seen behind the curtain, I've seen the business model, I know how the operation runs and how it works, and I don't want to be a part of it." He also went on to say, "I plucked my head out of the sand, gave it a good shake off, and I was like, okay, You're in this position of privilege. Stop complaining, stop thinking as though you want something different. Make this different. Harry thought he couldn't get out of the role and instead asked himself, how are you going to do this differently? How are you going to make your mum proud? How are you going to use this platform to really affect change and be able to give people that confidence to be able to change their own lives? And I mean, Harry pretty much has attracted a lot of negative press. He also talked about how he started therapy and it was like a bubble burst. And we know what bubble that was. It was his psyche. You know, Harry has had a bit of a meltdown, you know, and it's not really in a good way. I think that we are witnessing quite possibly Harry go off the rails here. And he really is a loose cannon to the royal family because no one really knows what he's going to say or do next. And I myself feel afraid for them because they are under siege by Harry. He is a traitor to the firm and he does want to see it fall. And with every interview, he's getting more and more to the point of trying to really sabotage any good efforts that William and Kate are putting forward. So with all that being said, I will be back with another video. Bye guys.